Welcome back. I am starting a new series. It's a short series. I have 3 videos that are going to be going up. It's what I wasn't expecting. This video is going to be about what I wasn't expecting when it came to breastfeeding. I'm going to have one about the postpartum recovery and also pregnancy. First off, before I even get started, I am not a nurse. I have no degree in lactation or nursing or anything like that. I am a teacher. So all that I'm going to talk about is based off my own personal experience and what I have researched myself. If you do not want to hear too much information, then don't watch this video. I'm going to share things that are personal, and that might be kind of weird for some people, and so if you don't want to hear some personal information, then don't watch the video. That's fine. I'm not going to judge. Before taking my advice or opinions, do your research. Talk to nurses at the hospital you're going to be delivering at. A lot of times they will offer a breastfeeding class. I highly, highly, highly suggest taking that. That is the one and only class my husband and I took, and it was absolutely wonderful. So if there's any kind of class like that offered, take it. A website that I got a lot of information off that was good and that helped me was www.kellymom.com. I will link it below. Just do your research. Talk to friends who have gone through breastfeeding if that's something you want to do. I know I've talked to my mom a lot, and she tried to breastfeed us but was fairly unsuccessful because back then she did not have the support or the resources like we do now. So if you want to breastfeed, look into it. Also, I'm a big advocate of do what's best for you, your family, and your baby. If breastfeeding is too difficult and is putting too much stress on you, it is okay to use formula. I dislike how formula is so bad, especially in the breastfeeding world. It's not bad. We're so lucky to have formula and have that option. So do not be down on yourself if you are a mom who wanted to breastfeed and for some reason was unable to. Again, do what's best for you and your baby. Right, so what I wasn't prepared for breastfeeding, the first one's kind of silly. It's just that feeling the first time the baby latched. For me, it was just a surprise. My son latched really well right away, and it's just a surprising feeling. Latching should not hurt. At first it's uncomfortable, and it might hurt the first few days. I remember the first night home from the hospital I was in tears because I was in pain. I no longer had the direct support from the lactation nurses from the hospital. But after a while, you get used to it, your baby gets used to it, and now it's no problem. Another thing is nipple shape matters. I didn't realize that there was nipples were different sizes and different shapes. There are things like flat nipples and inverted nipples. I had flat nipples and did not realize this until I was having a hard time keeping my baby latched in the hospital. And luckily I had lactation nurses right there willing to help, and they showed me different ways I can hold my breast and help the baby latch to it. I was not prepared for the lack of medication available to take while you are breastfeeding. For instance, I had pink eye when my son was 4 months old, and it kind of stunk because previously when I got pink eye, I could just put some drops in my eye and it was cleared up within hours. Because I was breastfeeding, I had to be prescribed a oral antibiotic, and it took over 24 hours for my pink eye to clear up. So that was kind of frustrating, but then again, you know, it's part of being a mom, I guess. Another thing is bottle confusion. We had a supplement with formula in the first few days with my son because he had jaundice, and they want as many fluids as a baby can get to clear up the jaundice. So we gave my son a bottle when he was 3 or 4 days old, and after he had that one bottle, he would not latch to save his life. So luckily I did some research, and this is not advised, so do not take this advice without doing your research and talking to a lactation consultant. But what I did is I found out there's a thing called a nipple shield, and basically it's a shield that goes on your nipple, and it kind of looks like a bottle nipple. We used that with my son. He latched right away. We used that for several months until he was about 4 months old, and then we were able to take it away, and he was able to latch onto the breast, and now he breastfeeds without anything, and he does it beautifully. So for me, what helped with the bottle confusion was a breast shield, but what I've researched since then is if you can, try not to introduce the bottle for at least the first 6 weeks. Wait until after the baby is 6 weeks old and has gotten very used to breastfeeding. Another thing I was not prepared for, I didn't even know that it was a thing, is mastitis. Mastitis feels like the flu. I knew I had a clogged duct, and I woke up one day and I was just feeling awful. I had body aches, I had a high fever, I think I was at like 101, 102. I just felt awful. Called my mom. Luckily she came over to take care of my newborn. I texted my brother, who is a nurse practitioner, and I said, hey Caleb, I feel awful. I've got the flu. What can I do? What can I take? And his first question was, how are the boobs? And I was like, well, I have a clogged duct, but I also have the flu. And he's like, you don't have the flu. You probably have mastitis. Go to your OBGYN ASAP. So luckily I was able to get an appointment, and they confirmed that it was, I think he called it like engorgement or something, because I didn't have the redness yet that's associated with mastitis, but I have every other symptom. But he prescribed me an antibiotic, and within about a few hours, probably like 24 hours, it was cleared up, and eventually I was able to get that clogged duct cleared as well. So mastitis is awful, it feels awful, and you feel awful. But that also kind of brings me to the topic of clogged ducts. I had an oversupply, which meant I produced way more milk than what my son needed. So if I did not pump or nurse enough, my ducts would clog up. And you can feel when you have a clogged duct, you can even feel the duct itself, the clog itself. So the best things to do if you have a clogged duct is a hot shower, hitting that spot, massaging it, nursing and pumping as often as possible to try to clear it up. And also dangle feeding, which is kind of weird, you feel like a cow, but basically you put your baby like on a bed or a flat surface, and you just get on top of them and just kind of dangle there and let them nurse. So I guess the concept is the gravity will kind of help pull that clog out. Another thing is bra size. Wearing bras ever since having my son, really ever since like pregnancy, has been the worst. I've never been, okay, I haven't been small chested since early on in college. And so I've always had an issue finding bras that fit because I'm small around, but my breasts are not. And so bra size has always been awful. And then adding breastfeeding on top of it, sometimes I'm really full and I'm popping out of my bras, and other times I'm empty and bras fit a lot better. And because I'm smaller around and also bigger chested, finding the right size nursing bra has been hard. I've got some from Walmart that are okay. My problem came because a lot of nursing bras, instead of like a 34D or 37G or whatever sizes they are, they're size small, medium, large. And you know, a large might fit cup size, but it doesn't fit around very well. The band doesn't fit. So anyways, bra size has been awful. Finding the right nursing bra has been impossible. So what I'll get down to with Breastfeeding Essentials is that nursing tank top. Nursing tank tops are where it's at. Alright, here's my little booby monster. He's not wanting mommy to shoot any videos today, I guess. Are you not gonna let me shoot a video today? Yeah? Here's your passy. Alright, so the last thing I wasn't expecting is more of just a misconception. Before I started breastfeeding, I thought the breast was like an endless faucet. I thought it was more of like a beer tap. You know, you just turn it on when you want some beer, fill up the glass, and then turn it off. It is not that way. It takes a lot of work for mom and for baby. Basically, you have letdowns where your milk lets down, and that's when the baby's getting milk. So it's not an endless faucet. It's all based off supply and demand. The more the baby nurses or the more you pump, the more milk you make. The less the baby nurses or the less that you pump, the less milk that you make. So it's not an endless faucet, and that's why liquid gold is precious. I have spilt my fair share of milk, and I have cried every single time. Milk has gotten left in the diaper bag without caregivers knowing that it was in there. That has made me cry. Breastfeeding is very personal, and you know, I'm a little overly sensitive when it comes to feeding my baby, which is something I'm trying to work on. But breastfeeding is a very, it's very special and it's very emotional. What's gotten me through it is the support of friends and family, and I am very lucky and blessed to have family. Both my husband's family and my family have been very supportive over breastfeeding. That brings me to breastfeeding essentials. The very first thing is Lanolin Ointment. Before Alexander came, I bought the Medela brand because that was the brand of my pump, and I knew that it was a highly recommended pump, so I figured it's a good brand, so let me buy the Lanolin. This stuff sucks. It's a pretty thin consistency, and it's also just a weird color, and I know that has nothing, it's still fine and safe, it's just weird. After I researched a little bit more, I came across the Lanolin, and this stuff is the best. It's thick, it's a clear, kind of whitish clear, and it's just good. It stays on a little bit longer, and both are safe for baby to latch while it's still on, so you don't have to worry about wiping it away. But Lanolin is great for when your nipples are chapped, especially in those first few weeks. The next breastfeeding essential, I talked about it with the bra size, is a nursing tank top. My favorite ones are the Medela brand ones. They're expensive. They're between $25 and $30, but honestly, I wear these as bras. I always have one underneath my shirts, just like now. I don't know if you can see. Let me try to move the camera down. So I have just a tank top on, and then underneath it, I've got a Medela tank top, and you know, it just kind of pops on and off. And this one that I have on is a newer one. I just got it last week, and it's kind of cool because it's got pads. It's got pads kind of like a bathing suit. And so, let me pull my camera up. It's got pads kind of like a bathing suit. And so when your nipples are, you know, when your headlights are on, it kind of covers them up. And by the way, your headlights are on a whole lot more while you're breastfeeding than before you started breastfeeding. Alright, so nursing tank top, in my opinion, is a must. It's also nice because you can do the two-shirt method when nursing in public. I'm not one to openly breastfeed in public. I like to be somewhat covered in some way. It's just my personal preference. More power to you if you like to go all natural. But basically the two-shirt method is you have the tank top underneath and then you have a shirt over top. So you can pull the shirt that you have over top up and the nursing tank top down, and so the only thing that's exposed is right where the baby's feeding. Alright, the next thing is nursing pads, especially, he just dropped his passy. Nursing pads are great, especially in the first few weeks when your milk is still regulating. At night, I would wake up and I would have soaked through my shirt and sometimes even onto the sheets. And it's kind of gross, but if you're wearing a nursing pad, then it's not so bad. It's also nice too when you put Lanolin on and then put this over top, because since the Lanolin is an oil, my nursing tanks are now kind of oily, and if I had worn these, then I might have been able to save some of my nursing tanks. Next thing is the Boppy pillow. The Boppy pillow. Can you see it? It's wonderful. The thing I like about the Boppy pillow, again, these are not cheap. These are, shoot, like $30. You can even get like the luxe version. It's like closer to $50. I have a bargain hunt close to me, so one of mine I have two, one for upstairs, one for downstairs. Long story short, I just kept leaving it in the story of the house that I was not in, and I just finally went to the bargain hunt and got one for like half price, because it was just easier. But anyways, I like the Boppy pillow because when they're newborn, you can put them on it. It's a little bit easier to do that cradle hold or the football hold with it. Also what I like, now that my son is starting to sit up, he's still a little unstable, you can put it around him, and so when he falls, he's not falling right onto the floor. He's got a little bit of extra support. And the cool thing is on the tags, it has suggestions. It says 0 months, you can use it for feedings, 3 months propping up, 6 months for tummy time, and 9 months sitting up. My personal opinion, the months are a little off, but just do what's best for you and your baby and your baby's development. But I love the Boppy for that reason. The next thing is a Camelback water bottle. Wherever you are nursing, have a Camelback water bottle. The reason I say Camelback is because it's easy to do one-handed, or if it's already ready, to do no hands. Again, first few weeks of nursing your baby, your hands are full, and I don't know about anybody else, but as soon as I sit down to nurse, I get incredibly thirsty. The Camelback is nice because in the middle you have the straw, and then you've just got the little sippy top, and if it's already open, you can just pick it up and take a drink. And sometimes, depending on the height of it, you can just lean over to take a drink. So again, Camelbacks. Also, the Camelbacks, you can get like off-brand ones, but they're not as good. I've dropped this thing so many times and it has never broken. They're really good quality, even though they're expensive. And then last but not least, if you do decide to pump, I personally don't think it's necessary to pump if you are a stay-at-home mom and you know you're constantly available to your baby, but I do think it's a great idea. Even when I was a stay-at-home mom, I pumped and ensured that my milk was in. It also was nice to have milk in the fridge so somebody else could feed my baby when this might make me sound like a terrible mom, but there are some times that you just don't feel like feeding your baby. You are tired, you need some rest, maybe you were sick and you need somebody to take care of your baby. Having that pump milk available is amazing. So it's not necessary to pump, but I think it's a good idea. So if you do pump, I think it is mandatory to have a nursing bra. This one is a Medela brand. It's kind of dirty and you throw it in the wash, but it just goes around you. And it zips in the front, and then you can put the flanges through the little holes. It's terrible to pump, especially if you are not doing it hands-free and just sitting there holding the flanges to your boobs. It's awful. So this made it hands-free, and so therefore I could be on my phone, I could do some work on my laptop. It just made the pumping session go by quicker. Also, kind of back to the mastitis clogged duct situation, what my obstetrician had suggested when pumping or nursing was to massage clogs forward towards the nipple. He described the breast like a pie, and there's pie slices, and in the middle of the pie is your nipple. So to express all of those slices by kind of working your way around the boob, massaging it towards the nipple. If you are not pumping hands-free, it is impossible to do that, and it's also just difficult to do that while nursing in general. But if you're pumping, doing it hands-free, I mean, that's the only way to be able to massage your breast when you're pumping. It also, if you're massaging your breast while pumping, it helps your milk output, I guess you can call it. I noticed when I started massaging my breast while pumping, I was getting more milk. So that's it. That's all I've got for what I wasn't expecting while breastfeeding, and then the Breastfeeding Essentials. I will put links down below of the essentials, and again, in my personal opinion. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for what I wasn't expecting when it came to postpartum, recovery, and pregnancy.